Welcome to News Update with Maryam, and this is where you get all your scoop when it comes to news stories happening in Nigeria. I give you the headlines and a little detail behind the headlines, and also I tell you the source of this particular, all of the headlines. So please remember to subscribe to this channel if you're watching on YouTube. If you are watching on all social media platforms, remember to give me a follow, and I will definitely follow back. Thank you. Okay, so now let's get to this particular one. We're starting from the dramatic headlines and moving from there to the less dramatic ones. Let's start with this one. Court strikes out federal government's criminal charges against Natasha. This is coming from the Punch newspaper website. An Abuja High Court on Thursday struck out the criminal charges instituted by the federal government against the lawmaker representing Kogi Central, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, effectively bringing to an end a high-profile legal battle that sparked national debate. Court records showed that the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation filed a notice of discontinuance, prompting the court to formally strike out the criminal defamation and related charges that had been earlier preferred against the senator. The case, which attracted intense public scrutiny, stemmed from comments allegedly made by Akpoti Udohan during a televised interview. Okay, so that's that about the story. Dramatic, right? It was a whole lot of drama when that particular situation was still very much ongoing. Okay, so away from that to another dramatic situation in Nigeria and from the Punch website as well, impeachment, Rivers Assembly fails to reconvene. The Rivers State House of Assembly, led by Speaker Martin Amaule, failed to resume plenary on Thursday, a week after adjourning its last sitting. Punch Online reports that during its first sitting in 2026, held last Thursday, the House had commenced impeachment proceedings against Governor Similala Ifubara and his deputy, Professor Ngozi Odu, over alleged gross misconduct, including the demolition of the State Assembly complex and spending without legislative approval, among other charges. The sitting was adjourned until January 15, 2026. However, as of noon on Thursday, January 15, 2026, Punch correspondent who visited the assembly observed that there was no sign that the House, which presently holds sittings at the conference hall of its official legislative quarters along Aba Road, would reconvene. No explanation has been provided for the delay, nor has a date for resumption been announced. What is going to happen? Nobody knows. Away from that to another one, I told you it's going to be from the dramatic one to the less dramatic one. Now, this one is coming from the Punch website as well. Federal government has to unveil agreement to end strikes, varsities, closures. The federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities on Wednesday unveiled a renegotiated agreement aimed at resolving long-standing disputes in Nigeria's tertiary education sector, resulting in incessant strikes and closure of universities. The 2025 agreement is the conclusion of a renegotiation process that began in 2017 to review the 2009 federal government ASU Pact, which was due for revision in 2012. Several committees set up under past administrations, chaired by Wale Babalaki, Muazali Jibrin, and Nimi Briggs, failed to deliver a final agreement. I'm sure students will be grateful to God that this agreement has come into existence or come into being, and hopefully it gets a hold. So the headline is from the Punch website. It says federal government has to unveil agreement to end strikes, varsity closures. Away from that story, but I'm still with the Punch newspaper website. This one says, move beyond civil war of 56 years ago. Soludo urges Ndigo. Anambra State Governor Professor Chukwuma Soludo has urged Undibo to move beyond the Nigerian civil war and redirect their energy towards national participation and development, saying the war ended 56 years ago. Soludo made the call on Thursday during the wreath laying and parade ceremony marking the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day at Ekweme Square, Oka. He said there was no justification for continued violence and bloodshed in the name of agitation, noting that the civil war officially ended on January 15, 1970. He said, and I quote, the people of the Southeast must redirect their energy towards active participation in national affairs and the collective development of Nigeria. End of quote. So, still talking about the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, we have quite a number of stakeholders coming out to talk about it. And also, some of them did talk about the need for peace, especially in Nigeria. So, let me move to a series of news concerning the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day. This particular one says across Nigeria, governors urge support for armed forces on Remembrance Day. And this is from Vanguard website. Now, in Zamfara State, Governor Dauda Lawal, represented by Secretary to the State Government, Malam Abubakar Nakwada, assures security agencies of the state government's unwavering cooperation in discharging their duties. Speaking at the ceremony held at the Domestic Trade Fair Center in Guzo, Lawal pledged to improve logistics, welfare, and intelligence driven strategies aimed at safeguarding lives and property, highlighting the sacrifices of security personnel in restoring peace to communities. He said, and I quote, many brave sons and daughters have paid the ultimate price in the cause of ensuring stability today. In ensuring stability, I beg your pardon, today we salute their courage and reaffirm our collective resolve to build a safer and more prosperous Zamfara state. Away from Zamfara, let's go to Bayelsa State, where the governor, Doye Diri, also talked about it. In Bayelsa State, Governor Doye Diri urged corporate organizations and private individuals to support Nigeria's armed forces through contributions and partnerships, citing the need to enhance conditions of service. The governor made the call during the remembrance ceremony at Peace Park, Yenagua. Away from Bayelsa, let's go to Oyo State, where we have Governor Sheyi Makinde. In Oyo State, Governor Sheyi Makinde reaffirmed his administration's commitment to strengthening the state security architecture during the ceremony at Lekon Salami Stadium, Adamasingba, Ibadan. He emphasized the importance of security for economic growth and social stability, ensuring that his government would continue to work closely with security agencies to protect lives and property. Makinde also announced plans to implement a welfare scheme for families of five forest guards recently killed at the Old Oyo National Park, describing them as heroes who died in service. He commended security personnel for their professionalism and dedication, assuring residents that their welfare and operational needs would remain a priority. And now let's get on to another sub headline on this particular headline from the Vanguard newspaper website. Now, the sub headline reads, and I quote, a nationwide call for solidarity and gratitude. Across all states, the remembrance events underscored the sacrifices of Nigeria's armed forces and the continued responsibility of government, communities, and private citizens to support their welfare. The ceremonies combined solemn tribute with public reflection on the courage and dedication of men and women who risked their lives to ensure national security. Still talking about the Armed Forces Remembrance Day this year, there is a headline from the Vanguard website, and it's coming from Peter Obi. The headline reads, Fallen heroes deserve better leadership. Former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi has said Nigeria can only truly honor its fallen soldiers by providing leadership that delivers peace, hope, and national progress, stressing that remembrance must translate into a commitment to build a country worthy of their sacrifice. In a statement to mark the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, he described the annual observance as a moment that should move the nation beyond rituals to reflection and responsibility. Okay, so that's that on the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. But I have this last story before I go on the program today. But this is coming from Ogun State. The headline is from Platform Times. Platform Times is an online news medium, and according to the headline, Ogun Labour Party condemns APC's e-registration, describes exercise as fraudulent charade. The Ogun State chapter of the Labour Party has condemned the ongoing electronic membership registration being conducted by the All Progressives Congress APC, describing it as a deceptive political exercise aimed at masking what it called the failure of the Dapo Abiodun-led administration. In a statement issued on Wednesday, the Ogun Labour Party chairman, Chief Oluwabukola Soyoye, said the APC's statewide e-registration was a digital scam designed to mislead the public into believing that the ruling party still enjoys popular support in Ogun State. Shoyoye alleged that, contrary to APC's claim that the exercise was a routine membership registration drive, it was in reality a political referendum that exposes the deep rejection of Governor Dapo Abiodun and his black market style of governance by the people of the state away. Okay, so 2027 is almost here, so you're likely to hear more of political stories in and around Nigeria. But thank you also very much for joining me on today's wonderful edition of News Updates with Maryam. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and also put on the notification button so that you can get notified whenever I put up something. And also follow me on all social media platforms at Maryam Ugremi, Maryam Ugremi. Thank you also very much for joining me and do enjoy your day.